In honor of the 2015 Academy Awards, let's review the Oscar nominees for Best Picture. The children in Boyhood are annoying. The plot is dull and meaningless and is like watching a stranger's poorly edited home movies. Despite the title, the boy is the least interesting aspect of the film. The supporting cast of Patricia Arquette and Ethan Hawke are far more interesting as they struggle to find direction in their lives while raising their children as divorced parents, and they are the only characters with barely satisfying arcs. The nearly 3 hours of shallow dialogue is painful to sit through. Much has been said about how the movie took 12 years to film, but very little happens during those 12 years for us to care.
Oh, 12 years, everybody gets old, and people would ask, well, so what happens in the movie? And I was like, not much.
Unlike in the 7 Up documentary series, which interviews a group of children every 7 years through their adulthood to revisit where they are in their lives.
When I grow up, I want to be an astronaut.
Love to be in politics.
By 28, Neil was homeless, wandering around the west coast of Scotland.
I can think of all kinds of things I'd like to be doing. The real question is, what am I likely to be doing?
By 42, Neil had moved to London and was a Liberal Democrat on Hackney Council.
Boyhood has a handful of humorous moments, but not enough to earn a recommendation. The Grand Budapest Hotel is beautifully shot and has a charming story. However, the pace is slow, and I had to watch it a few times to catch the moments in which I had previously drifted off. The supporting cast members seem to either intentionally overact or act like themselves, rather than like characters who are part of the story. This distraction reminds the audience that we're watching a movie rather than being immersed in it. Also, this is more of the same expected quirkiness from director Wes Anderson, and this movie fails to take risks to explore territory outside of his comfort zone. Selma is an emotional drama and an important American history lesson. Unfortunately, its structure is haphazard and slowly paced with unnecessary demarcation titles and brief name-dropping character appearances that distract from the main plot. Although the film has been criticized for its vilification of President Johnson, this criticism is unfair because Johnson's portrayal is a matter of perspective, and the filmmakers are free to practice artistic license however they wish. Despite the film's inability to license the rights to use Martin Luther King's original words, the speeches are inspirational, and David Oyelowo's performance is fantastic. But the lack of structure make this movie far from perfect.
Glory, hallelujah.
For most of its duration, American Sniper does a decent job depicting the evils of war and the internal moral conflict of the lead character. But the film doesn't explore anything new about the subject matter with its slow pace and cliché dialogue. Also, the third act could have given the audience more time to appreciate Bradley Cooper's character arc instead of leaving us hanging with its abrupt ending that fails to resolve key storylines. Regardless, Bradley Cooper gives an outstanding performance and proves he can be a strong dramatic lead who is not limited to screwball comedy and romance. In The Imitation Game, Benedict Cumberbatch gives an outstanding performance as computer scientist Alan Turing. While the film has received much criticism over its inaccurate portrayal of events, it should have the freedom to take creative licenses for dramatic effect, and in this case, it succeeds and continues to honor Turing's legacy. However, the film fails to inspire with its formulaic structure reminiscent of a BBC or PBS special. The lead actors in Whiplash are incredible, and the student-teacher symbiotic relationship is intense. While much of the supporting cast is generic and consists of throwaway characters, the film inspires you to wonder if you have a passion so strong that it forces you to push yourself to the point of disregarding your own physical and emotional health. In The Theory of Everything, Felicity Jones as Jane Hawking and Eddie Redmayne as Stephen Hawking are amazing. While the film is being marketed as a Stephen Hawking biopic, it's just as much about his wife Jane, as they both struggle with raising a family while living with debilitating disease. We experience the disease from both Stephen's and Jane's points of view. We relate to Jane's struggle, and we are grateful for how her perseverance indirectly contributed to humanity's greater understanding of the universe. My only criticism is that if we are to believe that Jane's support for Stephen is motivated by their love, The film could have spent more time showing us how they fell in love. Instead, it comes off more like strong mutual politeness and respect, but once she commits to his aid, she is all in. Birdman is a film about self-entitlement, self-worth, self-relevance, self-redemption, and rebirth. The cinematography is an artistic and technological achievement that must be seen, so much that I can't wait for the video release so I can rewatch and study it without sound. The soundtrack and dialogue give each scene a jazz fluidity, and its rhythm is intentionally and appropriately broken whenever a character changes mental or emotional state. This is also a film that criticizes the disingenuous culture of Hollywood, and ironically, Michael Keaton, Emma Stone, and Edward Norton, three actors known for their blockbuster comic book movie roles, each have rewarding character arcs that lead to a satisfying conclusion.